Some people see me as an older woman, and some people don't. Brian, you're like younger than my own children? What? I couldn't believe it. Hi, my name is RAHEL Moore. I come from the USA, and I've been in Korea now just about 2 years. So actually, I do have a few Korean friends who I've met in the most unusual ways. A lot through work, of course, and I just remembered about one friend in Busan who I met actually crossing the street, who started to talk to me because I had a guitar, and we became walking friends and good friends, and we're still in touch even though I'm now in Seoul. Of course, less so, but it was really nice to have a friend also more of my age. But the very first friend that I had here in Korea was a young man named Brian. Hi, Brian. So today I'm going to talk about my very first Korean friend, and his name is Brian. Brian and I first met because Brian gives tours of Gangnam, and it was in July. It was so hot, and he was giving what he called midnight or moonlight tours of Gangnam. So I thought, I'm going to a night tour because it's so hot, it'd probably be cooler. As we were waiting for a few other people to arrive, there were 2 others who came, and Brian and I started to talk. And you know, the usual questions: who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing here? Why'd you come to Korea? So I told him my story. Then we went on the tour, and the tour was fantastic, of course. We learned all about Gangnam. He grew up in Gangnam area, and so he knows a lot. And after the tour, though, he was really interested in what I was doing there. And you probably saw my other YouTubes, and the reason why I came was to pursue a certain K-pop idol singer, musical actor, Shia Kim Jun-soo, to give him one of my songs that I was still hoping that he will sing. So Brian was very fascinated with this story, and he's also a musician, and he wanted to help me. He really wanted to see this happen. So he offered to meet me again. We met in a cafe, and I said, I'm trying to locate, I know Kim Jun-soo was serving in the military at the time, I'm trying to locate where that is, and send him a letter. So he looked it up, he found that there was a very active fan base, and he also found an address where I could send a letter. But of course, I needed to write the letter in Korean. So he said, I'm going to help you. And Brian he's well educated, and he's got an good organized mind. So he asked me a lot of questions, and we composed this letter together to send to Kim Jun-soo at his military base, and also to his management company. I tried everything so far. So we looked up the address. He gave me the envelope, the paper, he printed it out for me, everything. He translated it, he wrote it. Then I was going to take it to the post office, but of course then I didn't know how to do that. So he said, I'm going to mail this for you. And he just went completely out of his way to really help me make this connection. And since then, we just started seeing each other on a friendly basis. We'd go out to meet at a cafe. We talked about our personal issues, our business, professional issues. And over the past 2 years, we have now what we call a hamburger date. So we've explored a bunch of hamburger places, and we call it, it's time for a hamburger date now. We haven't had one for a while. And we talk about where we've come to, our experiences, what we're going through. The really nice part about this is that we've watched each other grow and evolve. Of course, when I first came to Korea, I had no idea that I was going to end up living here, and especially working in the field that I'm working in. He helped me go through those particular procedures, the process that I had to go through, meeting an agency, reading the contract. A lot of people were suspicious, you know, what are you doing? Is this right? Is somebody going to take advantage of you? He came to the meeting with me. He listened. He asked questions. He's been such a good friend. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And so Brian and I remain good friends. We share our personal stories. We're each other's cheerleaders, you know, and we just give each other support. And so, Brian, I love you, man. You're the greatest. Yeah, Brian, as I said, he was sort of my initiation process, and he's helped me as I've settled into Korean life. He helps me when I don't understand something. Just recently I was worried about a whole health annual checkup, and he's made some suggestions how I can go about that, where I can do that, and where I can find somebody English speaking, and just anything. I mean, I turn to Brian, and Brian's there. And so I always try and return the favor in any way I can. Just personal support, professional support in my faith. One hand washes the other. If you're helping one person, they help you, and it's a mutual, really wonderful thing to have, to have a friend like that. I wanted to say one more thing. It's funny, I'm an older person, but I don't see people's age, and some people see me as an older woman, and some people don't, and many of my friends here are actually between the ages of 20 and 30. I had no idea how old Brian was. To me, he was just a person. I loved him as a person. Only recently, we were having a conversation. I said, "Hey, Brian, how old are you?" And I found out, "Brian, you're like younger than my own children? What?" I couldn't believe it. So, it doesn't matter. We are still good friends. And even though I know his age, he's younger than my own children, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. Having someone that when you're alone, and I'm alone here, my family is spread out all over the world. And as I said, I didn't know I was going to live here. So having a friend like Brian that is dependable, responsible, that I can turn to, it's heartwarming. And not only that, it gives me a sense of security that there's someone I can turn to here when I have nobody really here in this country. Again, Brian, you're the best. So, Brian, what do I want to say to you? Oh, I'm going to start crying if I do this. I just want to say thank you, Brian, for everything, mostly for who you are. And I want you to keep being Brian, that wonderful, generous person, and a Korean who people can depend on. And I want to say that the work that you're doing now, trying to get Koreans and foreigners to interact and to become friends with us, you succeeded. So I know that you're going to succeed in this new business that you've created. So fighting! So today I talked about having a good Korean friend, a friend who is Korean. I hope you enjoyed that story because it's really an important story. I think that the friendship between Koreans and non-Koreans is really important. It needs to be developed and evolved. And my friend and I, Brian, we have evolved that and we continue to grow it. So if you like that story, if you're fighting for that story and you want also to partake in a story like that, press like, press subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.